Hey guys, it's Lauren Yates from Rave It Up here, and today we're going to be having a chat over Zoom with Latin dancer and the director of Latin Dance Australia, Nestor Manuelian. We have a talk to him about how he found his love for dancing, especially bachata, and also about how hard it is to organise the Sydney International Bachata Festival, the first and largest bachata festival in the world. And then we get a little bit more serious and talk about how strong he is mentally and how he is getting through stage 4 bowel cancer at the moment and chemotherapy. That is something we love about him. He just never gives up and won't even let cancer stop him. As you can see, there is so much to cover today, so let's get into it now. Before we get into today's interview, we would like to give a shout out to our Patreons, Irene, Bev and Michael. If you haven't heard of Patreon before, it is a great way to support us and keep us running and improving. You pick a membership tier that suits you and your budget per month, and in return for supporting us, we'll give you behind-the-scenes content and free stuff. You don't have to give much either. You can be a part of our Patreons for as little as $4 a month. Just visit patreon.com/raveitup. You can even donate through PayPal if you don't trust other sites. You can do so just through our email, raveituptv@gmail.com. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to contact us. We appreciate anything you can do to support us. Now, let's get into this interview. Nestor, welcome to Rave It Up. It is a pleasure to have you on the show. How are you going today?
Good. Thank you very much for having me.
You're so welcome. I'm very excited to interview you today, actually, because I love Latin Dance Australia, and I'll tell you a bit later on why it's very close to my heart. But also the very fact also that on the side, I also own my own Latin dance school as well. So I'm a busy lady running 2 businesses, you know how it is. But it's great to actually, interview a fellow dancer as well. So, woohoo!
Thank you.
Now, since this is your first time on the show, we'd love to get to know you a little bit better. And I think a great way to do that is to start from the beginning of your journey, if that's okay, to get a good idea of how you've made it to where you are today. So when I was doing my research on you, you were a bricklayer originally. So how did you find your love for dancing? Did you have like other family members that were dancers too, or listen to music in the house growing up?
It's actually very simple. I was a bricklayer. My twin brother Jamie was a dancer, and he started Latin Dance Australia. And so I was working with guys all day, and he was with women all day. And I thought, this isn't fair. So I started dancing, chasing women, and I fell in love with the dance instead. And the rest is history, So I probably started for the same reason that most people start, which is a new social circle, single, looking for something to do, looking for something to have fun with. And I found it, but I found a lot more with it as well.
Well, it's a great new skill for anybody to learn for any age, isn't it? As you get older, it's good to keep that brain working too.
I don't know what getting older is. I'm getting younger, but yes, I agree with you.
Good, going back in time. That's how we should do it, Nestor. Now, did you get into bricklaying because you really didn't know what else you wanted to do in your life as a career, or did you also have some other careers in mind?
No, I wanted to be a bricklayer.
Oh, good.
So when I was 12, so my dad worked in the construction industry, and so I started working when I was 12. I used to go with him on the weekend to the construction sites, and that's when I fell in love with working in construction. And so I knew from the age of 12, 13 that I wanted to be a bricklayer. And then my parents made me go all the way up to year 12. If it was up to me, I would have gone out to year 10 and started a trade.
Yep.
But they said, no, year 12. And then straight after that, I jumped straight into a trade, which was bricklaying. And it's actually what I was anticipating and really looking forward to do.
Yeah. So was that hard to because I'm guessing you're not doing it now, is that hard to give up because it was another love?
I miss it. Believe it or not, I do miss being on site, whether it's raining, whether it's windy, whether it's sunny, I like to work hard, and so that for me, and I like manual labor. For me to construct something, even if it was just a wall, it was something I was like, cool, I get to build this.
Yeah. And you get to look at the end product and go, wow, I did that.
Yeah. And even now, like I'll go past areas because I did bricklaying for 7 years, and I look at houses that I used to build, and it still brings back good memories. would I go back to it? Maybe on a casual basis, but dancing for me is it now. And but bricklaying, I think it's a little bit of a dying art, so to speak, where less people want to do it now because it is so physical. But I actually loved it.
Well, at least you've got those skills now that you can just, help your family with different things
Yeah,
in
correct.
construction. Yeah, your own little mini projects, right? Around the house. So
Yeah.
you did mention just quickly before that your brother actually started Latin Dance Australia.
Yeah,
So,
Jamie Jesus.
yeah, how did you manage to become the director?
Circle of life, really. Teacher overtakes student overtakes teacher. No.
Yep.
So look, I fell in love with dance. I started doing it professionally. Before owning Latin Dance Australia, I also worked for many other schools. I ran Latin Motion. I worked for Salsa Vibes, Club Salsa. Um, as I said, Latin Motion. And so eventually, LDA needed a partner, and they asked me to come on board as a business partner. And that's when I left bricklaying, and left bricklaying completely behind. I was already working full time for Latin Motion at the time,
Yep.
running their school. But then, bricklaying was always there just in case. I didn't know what was going to happen. But when LDA asked me to become a director and I got the opportunity to really make this into a full-time gig forever, as a school owner, I took it, I left bricklaying behind and went from there.
So, did you face any challenges that you can probably share with us in the beginning of, running the whole business and being the director? Because, it's a lot of trial and error when it comes to that.
Of course. Yeah, look, before becoming business owner, I ran Latin Motion, the school, for 3 years while the owner, Oliver, was living overseas. And so therefore, that was where most of my trial and error started, because I went from working on site to working in an office. And literally, I didn't even know what a keyboard was at that point in time, and so using a keyboard, I now type fast, but with only 2 fingers.
Yep. So your keyboard was just on the phone?
Yeah. So a lot of it was very self-taught, and a lot of trial and error, and running somebody else's business is the pressure of, making it work as well.
Making sure it's still running by the time he gets back.
Yeah, well, look, we were fortunate enough that with the team that we put together while he was away, we were able to take the school from where it was, to maybe like 2-3 times bigger.
Oh, wow.
So by the time he came back, it was, very different to when he left, which was a great experience for me. I was really happy that I was able to do that for him. And then things changed, and then I ended up, I got offered a partnership, obviously, at Latin Dance Australia. My contract was finished with Latin Motion anyway.
Yep.
So then when I became an owner, I already had 3 years experience of running a business. So the next challenges was from running it by myself with a team that was working for me to running it with a team to work with as directors. And then, it's a matter of adjustment and learning how to work as 4 minds instead of 1.
Yeah. Was that easier, or was it actually harder because everyone had their own opinions and wanting to run things differently?
Oh, look, I think it's like any relationship. There's a honeymoon period first.
Yeah.
And then, as things progressed, the company was going great and everyone had their ideas and were able to implement them. But then, of course, over time, people head in different directions, and then there was changes in directorships. And then, it went from being Jamie, Marcia, myself, and Lydia, to me, Jamie, Lydia, to me, Jamie, Katrina, to, Jamie, Lydia, Katrina, myself, Johnny, Amy, Fernanda. So then, Lydia stepped down, and then Fernanda stepped down, and then now it's just me and Katrina.
Yep.
But me and Katrina have always had a very, we would say that we share a brain.
I like that.
We think exactly alike. We run our teams alike. So therefore, the progression of learning how to run a company has been never ending, because with all the changes of the school, from being smaller to growing, to getting more space, to getting a second studio, to expanding, to COVID,
Oh, yes.
And then losing a studio, but keeping, centralizing everything in one, and then the partnership going from 5 to 2, which is what we know since February 1. Health issues on top of that.
Mm. Yeah, we'll talk
Katrina
about that
having a
soon.
baby on top of that. So we're constantly learning and constantly have challenges. But I think the best thing is that we get to do what we love.
Mm.
And so the challenges are there. But at the end of the day, we're fortunate enough that, our job is to make people happy through dance, and we get to dance every day.
It's
So,
so worth it.
yeah, all the lessons are well worth it. And I think we will continue to have lessons as we go, but it makes our life, I think, much better.
Definitely. So, do you have any like top business tips for our audience today?
Do what you love, and then you
Mm.
won't work a day in your life. And I know that sounds cliche,
It's
but
so true, though.
yeah, look, I go to bed every night knowing that I get to wake up the next day and dance.
Yeah.
Um, and my job is to make people happy.
Mm.
So I wake up in the morning and then I go back to sleep, knowing that the next day I get to do it all over again.
And it's
Yeah,
not just like, oh, I gotta do it all over again. It's I
no,
get to do
that's
it all over again.
yeah.
Woo!
And as a business owner, as you would know, your job is not 9 to 5.
No.
Your job is 24/7. It's on
Yeah.
your mind when you go to sleep, and it's on your mind when you wake up.
Yep.
You know,
Absolutely. The only
but
thing you can real have control over is just maybe when you say, okay, I'm not going to take calls after 8 p.m. or something. Like, that's the only thing you can really take control of. Everything else is, as you said, it's always in your head.
yeah. So, but look, even then, I even when I decide to do that, I then have emails on my phones, and then when they click, I'm like, okay, check the emails.
So otherwise, even if sometimes I'll see it pop up, a new email, and I'm like, oh, I'll read it later. And then my whole mind is always on, what did that email say?
100%.
So it's
So,
like, I might as well just read it now.
yeah. So if you're doing something that you love, like I don't think dancing will make me a millionaire, but I do think it gives me what I believe is a millionaire lifestyle.
Ooh,
Because,
I love that line. Oh my
yeah,
God. I'm going to have to
I
write
don't
that
have
one
to have
down.
the fanciest cars, but I'm probably happier than most people who have those cars.
Absolutely. You're
Yeah.
rich in what matters.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
You're rich in happiness
Yeah.
and
100%.
passion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, and that you can't, you can't put a value on that.
Absolutely. Well,
Yeah.
you and your team are doing such an amazing job there at Latin Dance Australia. Everyone, check them out if you haven't already.
Thank
As I
you.
said, I hold it very close to my heart because I actually took my partner to his very first social at your establishment for like a Kazumba Bachata night.
Yeah.
And that was actually the night that we actually admitted we liked each other more than friends. And then the rest is
Oh, wow.
history. We've been together for like 2.5 years. So I'm like, hey, you could probably say each time we went to Latin Dance Australia, we just fell in love a bit more each time. So
Yeah.
thank you very much.
So interesting you say that. This morning I got an email from a person saying, look, I'm just wondering whether you hold events for singles and Latin dancing and this and that. So look, we don't at the moment. I said, but the amount of singles that come to our school to meet people, I said, and this is actually where I met my wife.
Oh, that's so
Um,
cute.
so, yeah. So
See,
yeah, it's interesting because it
there's
does
a
happen.
demand there. You might need to do it
Yeah,
just for singles.
just for singles.
So you did start dancing salsa originally, and then you
Yes.
actually started studying and dancing bachata in 2005. So
Yep.
how did you find your love for bachata? I know exactly why you love it because it's my favorite dance. But did you just hear the music one day and went, "Oh, what's that? Like, I got to check that out."
Yeah. Actually, no. What happened was at the time, my girlfriend at the time lived in London, was moved to London to do some teaching, and she told me about this dance called bachata that she heard that she was learning over there. And then it just happened to be that I was in Sydney. There was no bachata, and this guy walked through my door at the studio and said, "Hi, my name's Juan. I'm from Chicago. This is my first time in Australia." And we became friends from that moment. He's actually the owner of Tropical Soul now.
Yes.
Um, and so talking to him one day, I said, look, what do you do? And he told me I do bachata. I'm like, really? I said, I've been wanting to learn this because my girlfriend's learning it and I want to surprise her when she comes back.
Aw.
And so bachata was very different back then, very basic. So Juan taught me my basics.
Yep.
And I from the moment I started learning it, I fell in love with the music and, fell in love with the dance. And obviously my purpose was to impress my partner at the time. But that's how it all began, to impress my partner. And as a result, I started it and I just fell in love with it.
And you know many styles now, which is great. Do you know any like dance styles outside of Latin dancing that might actually surprise us?
Okay, not trained wise, but I used to be mean on the glow sticks on the podiums back in the Wild FM days.
Hey,
I might be showing my age a little bit, but
no, I feel like with dancing, everybody kind of wants to learn all the different types of dancing, not just one genre. So that's fantastic. But I also want to know, because, I've looked up on YouTube some of your great dancing and also on your Facebook page. Still waiting for you to accept my friend request, but that's okay. I'm joking.
I'll go through it now. I've got
You got heaps, I know.
About hundreds, and then because I reached the limits of 5,000, so
my goodness.
I'll look for it. I'll get rid of someone and I'll put you in.
Thank you. But it was good that I could still see everything on your Facebook page, so I could research you as well. But I want to know, you've come up with some really cool moves and some really unique turning patterns. How do you come up with them? Do you just dance and play around until something kind of comes to you and you're like, oh, that's pretty cool, I don't know what I just did, but that looks good? Or are you kind of looking at others as well, other dancers on YouTube and things like that?
So my main inspiration for the way I dance bachata is what I learned from salsa.
Yes, yeah. That's kind
but
of what I found. It crosses over.
Lambada was the first dance I learned. So a lot of the moves at first were from lambada and salsa. But then as things developed, not just with bachata, but with my salsa, I found West Coast swing, which has a lot of similarities. That had some really interesting stuff. So I was really inspired by West Coast swing, by cha-cha, by paso doble, looking at their poses, looking at some of their turn patterns, looking at some of their shapes, and then I would try to learn them and then, put a spin on them so they became more salsa or more bachata. And that's how I started developing what I do. Is, my inspiration came from such a wide variety of different places, but I'm a firm believer that every time you think you've done something, you've created something, someone else has done it already.
That's kind of true, yeah.
But it comes from somewhere, even if subconsciously you've seen it and it comes out, chances are you'll find it somewhere. So
probably, yes. But to yourself, you feel great. You're like, oh, I invented that.
So I learn from as many places that I can. They're the places that I'm inspired by. And then I take everything I learn, I mix and match. I keep what I like and I leave what I don't. And that's how I dance. It's a mixture of all the amazing stuff I've learned and seen throughout the years.
Well, you're definitely doing a good job, so keep it up.
Thank you.
So you are also, one of the organisers of the famous Sydney International Bachata Festival. Whose idea was this event originally? Was it yours? Was it your brother's? It was back in 2008 it started?
2008, yeah. It was actually
first and largest.
It was actually myself and Juan Ruiz together. We both loved bachata at the time. We're both teaching and pushing bachata, and the idea started off as to run a bachata party. But then people got so interested that we decided to do a weekender, and then we started getting messages from interstate and overseas. So then we decided to turn it into a festival.
That's amazing.
It was supposed to be a party. That was it. There was no such thing as a bachata party back then.
Just like one social sort of thing.
Well, not even that. It would be a matter of going out and asking the DJs to play music.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So when we started with the idea of the festival, we didn't know where it was going to go. And 15 years later, here we are. We were the first officially recognized by the Dominican Republic government as the first bachata festival in the world.
That's incredible.
Some of the promoters that came here from the US, they then took it back to the US and they started their festivals, and then it started to spread like wildfire. And now it's literally festivals all over the world.
Yeah. You should be so proud. Woo! I'm proud of you.
Yeah, look, it is definitely, one of my, I guess most memorable things that I've done in my life is that to be able to start something that's had such a, big effect, not just in Australia, but around the world. And, it's one of my proud moments.
Oh, good. Because even this year, you always bring in some really cool artists and dancers and everything. And this year you had Pinto Picasso. I could not believe that when I saw that. I was just like, oh my goodness. Was it hard getting him?
Actually, we were wanting to get him and we didn't know how to get in contact with him. It just happened to be that one of my students was in London when he was doing a concert. He was filming a documentary. He was filming Pinto Picasso. And then he messaged me and goes, hey, Nestor, have you ever thought of bringing Pinto Picasso to Sydney? I'm like, of course, we want to bring him. He goes, I actually have his contacts. I'm like, what? And in a matter of 5 days, we had locked him in to come to Sydney.
That's amazing. So it's all, I even in this industry, like I always say, it's about who you know, right?
Yeah. Shout out to Matthew Reed. Thank you.
Yes.
Because of you, he was here.
Well, you know me now too, so if you have any issues or try to find contacts, I got heaps.
Cool, sounds good.
You can help each other.
Yeah, look, and that's the best way to work in this industry.
Exactly. I did also notice this year from like all the promos and social media and everything, you performed twice yourself with like, 2 different dance partners. Is that like a little bit difficult and a bit confusing to be like, oh, which dance partner am I with now? Like what routine are we doing?
So I performed once and then the second one was a freestyle. Okay. I performed in my team with my dance partner and business partner, Katrina. And then the other freestyle on stage was with my wife.
Oh, I did see that. It was a beautiful video.
Yeah.
While Pinto was singing.
Yes, that's right. The concert was amazing. So look, I have been dancing for nearly 20 years now. And I've had a lot of dance partners. My main dance partner is Katrina, who's my business partner. Been dancing with her for 15 years. But I've also danced with other people because along the line, I've danced with pro-ams. I've danced with professionals in competitions because Katrina couldn't compete at the time. But my main dance partner is Katrina. But I've danced with a lot of different people. And being lead and follow, one of the things that I love the most as a challenge is to be able to dance with everyone.
Yes.
Not just socially, but on stage as well. And it's something that I love doing. So dancing with different people, as much as at first it was a little bit challenging to try to get them to adapt to me, I then eventually learned that if I adapt to them, it became much easier. And that actually became a lot more fun. Because then everybody I dance with, I dance slightly different. And we create different things because as a combination, we have different influence and different ideas. So dancing with different people became a huge blessing that I've been able to do. And even though it has its challenges, it has, more pros than cons. And that's why I love doing it.
Well, that's something I always recommend to anybody wanting to dance. Do change partners as much as you can because every single guy leads differently. Every single woman follows differently. But even like, I found it so exciting because like, I lead myself as well now. And I because I've followed for, over 20 years dance experience as well, like you, to get into leading, I'm like, oh, wow, I'm really switching my brain around right now. But I love it because it's another challenge. It's like learning everything over again.
100%.
Yeah, so another really good thing for the brain, guys, if you need to do that, if you get into dancing.
I always tell the guys, if they've never watched the movie What Women Want with Mel Gibson, where he wakes up one morning and he knows everything that women want, and so therefore he can do exactly what they want, and they're happy. I said, you're never going to get that power. But if you learn to follow, you'll understand what they need so you can lead them better.
That is true. And by me learning to lead, I actually had more respect for any man that was leading me. I'm like, oh yeah, you have to think of like every single move we have to do.
Yeah, and look, let's be honest, the man doing 2 things at once is a challenge as it is.
I know, right? And
it's great for us.
So even more respect now. That's a good point. So with dancing with all different types of women too, like what does your wife think about that? Does she ever get a bit jealous? Or I guess with being a bit of a dancer herself, she kind of gets it?
Yeah, contrary. I mean, we dance together sometimes, and especially when I travel, she always travels and performs and teaches with me. Yeah. She also has different dance partners. She was a dancer before we got together, and and even till now, she still dances for my company. And she teaches and she performs, and I help her with her dance partners and their choreographies, and we run teams together. So it's actually part of our norm.
Yeah, you just get each other. Because that's something
Yeah.
like, when you watch people, if you've never danced before and you watch people dancing bachata, you're like, whoa, like they've got to be a couple, right? Because it can be so central. But to the
Yes.
dance industry, like, at any socials, I'll dance with a stranger and I'll do the exact same thing. Like,
Yeah.
it is just the industry.
Yeah. And even when we go out social dancing, I try to have the first and last dance with her, and
Oh,
then
good.
we dance with everybody else. I think
Yeah, us
there's a
too.
big misconception sometimes when people go onto YouTube and they look at some of the top couples, and a lot of the top couples are together.
Mm,
So they dance very sensual. But
yes.
then when you try to transfer exactly the same to somebody else, it won't, especially if you're not together, it won't come across the same way. So you just got to learn how to adapt, but also understand the sometimes when you see a couple dance together, there's always going to be that extra connection that you're not going to have with someone you don't know.
Absolutely.
Um,
Yeah.
but it doesn't mean that you can't dance together, have good connection, um, and still be able to dance with different people.
Yeah, you probably just won't have like that whole I'm in love with you sort of look.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I really want to come to one festival. I haven't even been to one yet, but it's on my list. I promise, Nestor. Next one.
Awesome.
So I've got to say, even though I've only just met you today, something I really, and I've watched a lot of your videos on social media too. Something I just love and respect about you is just how strong you are in willing to fight through everything, and whether it's running a business or dancing or anything like that. But for those who don't know, you are actually currently going through chemo for stage 4. Is it bowel cancer?
Stage 4 bowel cancer.
I was so
Yeah.
sorry to hear that, but as I said, you are like fighting through. It's like it's not even there, not gonna stop you. I love that attitude because to a lot of people, they'd
Thank you.
probably be really down, especially I don't know whether you were really down after that initial diagnosis, but you've been still running a business, you were still did all the bachata festival and you're still going through chemo. So please just tell us your story about how you get through. You must still have those down days, and when I've never gone through chemo myself, but just from
Yeah.
other people's stories, you're the very first person I've had on the show that's going through it. I've definitely heard a lot of those days that are just really low on energy. You've got nothing. You just want to stay in bed all day. So how do you get through that, especially mentally?
Yeah. Okay. So I've always been a go-getter,
Good.
competitive, not in the sense of have to be better than everyone, but always trying to excel.
Mm.
Um, I don't like. I'm the kind of person who tries to be the outrider. Always outside the statistics. And if somebody says you can't, I then work my hardest to prove that I can.
Yeah.
I started dancing at 22, 23 as a bricklayer. When I started competing at the Worlds and I said my goal was to win the title, I was told no. 10 years later, I finally won. And then the floodgates opened. I won a lot more after that.
Yeah.
But why am I saying that is I approached this the same way. When I was first diagnosed, I before they gave me my staging, the night before, I sat down and I made a decision. Well, if they give me 1% chance, that's a hell of a lot more than I need to get past this,
Mm.
you know? And so when I was staged and my wife was there and, you know, even though it sounded bad, stage 4, they told me how much it had spread all over the place. They told me my diagnosis and life expectancy and all that kind of stuff. I kind of blocked out everything and I decided, well, I'm not the same as everybody else. I never have been. So I'm going to continue working the way I work. And I decided, well, I have a choice. I was actually even by a specialist even until June this year, as far as when my life expectancy is concerned. And I decided, I was given 20 months. So then I decided, you know what, I've got a choice. I can sit back and wait for that day to come.
Yeah, like probably a lot of other people
In
would.
which case I will be consumed in the issue. And I'm a firm believer that if your mind gives up, so does your body.
Yes.
And so I decided was no matter what, I'm going to continue to live my life and do everything that I do. Um, you know, I, as soon as I got diagnosed, I got sent in for this emergency 10-hour operation to remove all this stuff out of my body. They told me that they didn't know whether I was going to be able to dance again because I literally was open from, like, I've got a massive scar straight up the top. They cut straight through, removed part of the liver. I had like resection of the bowel. I had resection of the liver, peritoneal, all these lymph nodes. I probably lost like 5 kilos after the operation.
Yeah.
Just from what was removed, right? And then literally when they told me I wasn't able to do it, I said, well, that's what you say to everyone. And literally in just under 3 months, me and Katrina were back on stage performing.
Wow.
And so that was something that once I did that, I was like, you know what? I know what they've said, but I know what I can do. And I haven't stopped, I've had it. And so it's been just under 2 years. And I've had like 6 operations. I went through 6 months of chemo before and came back and had another came back in the liver and then got that cut out and then came back even stronger. And now I'm going through the chemo for that. But I've always made sure there are a couple of things I don't do. I don't give up. I make sure I eat, even the days that, I don't want to eat because it's very common and that's why people get so skinny. It's easy to fall into that trap and completely understandable why it happens. So force myself to be active, force myself to eat. And I think as a result of those things, it's kept me happier and it's kept me motivated. And I push because at the end of the day, I also have a wife that wants me here, a family that wants me here, and a studio that needs me here. So unless I'm leading from the front, I don't feel like I'm doing the right thing. So I keep pushing, I keep working, and it keeps everyone around me in a good place so that their support in turn then helps me push even further forward. I think it's about choices.
And that's sure how is. I think we forget about how, strong our brains are and our whole mental attitude about everything. As soon as you give up, your body will give up as well. So it is good that, and we know the dancing makes you really, really happy. I can just see the passion there whenever you talk about it. So your body's just going to do that too. And by dancing, that's the best, exercise, best mental thing for you. I couldn't think of anything better for, your recovery as well.
Look, it doesn't mean that I don't have my bad days. I've had bad days.
Yeah.
But I try to remind myself that, one bad day doesn't overrule 10 good days.
Yes.
And the other thing is, again, regardless of my situation, I get to go to sleep. And then when I wake up in the morning, I get to do what I love. And
you're grateful for another day too.
Yeah. Being stage 4, maybe one this will take me. One day it'll beat me. Maybe one, I don't know, whatever the future holds. But I don't think there is a need for me to stop and worry about what might happen because I could cross the street tomorrow and get hit by a car. You know what I mean? So I'm not going to, be cautious with every step that I take because I have cancer.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I will just continue. And if I can enjoy every day for the rest of my life, whether it's a year, 2 years, 10 years, 20 years, I'm going to enjoy every day.
Yeah. See, I love that attitude. Oh, I just wish everyone was like you.
Oh, look, I can understand why it's difficult for people as well. I've always been different to most people in which I see this as a challenge. And so I take it on as a challenge to excel.
Yeah.
Not a challenge to see when I'm going to finish. And I know it's not easy for a lot of people and I can understand why they struggle. I think I've been blessed from a very young age, from what my parents instilled in me, what life has thrown at me and the way that I've approached things, that everything I've done up to this point, whether it's fate or whatever it is, it has taught me a lot of lessons, valuable lessons that I can now use to get past this.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if I didn't have that, maybe my situation would be different.
And even as you mentioned just before we started recording, you're like, I don't think this is supposed to take me. This is supposed to be so I can share my story like you're doing today. So thank you. And spreading the word. And I'm guessing your advice would probably be make sure everybody keeps going to the doctor, get scans, regular
Yeah.
checkups.
So whenever I used to do competitions, I research the competition that I'm entering. I research what the judges are looking for, so then I can get the best results. So when it came to this, before my operation of going into chemo, I researched everything. I researched what they're going to take out, what they're going to do, and what I need to do to recover best. And so I've been able to learn so much that maybe if I knew a lot of this stuff before going into it, or before this happened to me, maybe I could have avoided it or caught it at an earlier stage instead of stage 4. But at the same time, I wasn't told by the doctors all the information, and this is what I believe, is they give me all the information that they need to know to do certain things to treat me. But there's a lot more information that I wasn't given on how to tackle this in a better way. So I tried to learn as much as possible. So if I can help one person with this information, then that is good for me. Like I feel like I haven't had this for no reason. If I just get sick and die of it and it doesn't help anybody, then I think that's a waste.
Yeah.
If this was to take me, but I use this to help people get past it, then this is not a waste. It's just a role that I was given.
Well, stage 4, how did you end up finding out about it? Were you in pain or?
So unfortunately, I was having symptoms 2 years leading up to it, and I kept approaching about 2-3 years leading up to it, and I kept approaching my doctor, also because I have cancer in the family. He kept telling me I was too young, and then eventually I was diagnosed with diverticulitis, which is a bowel issue. And then I ended up in hospital with severe pain and fever, and that's when they said, you don't have diverticulitis, you've got stage 4 bowel cancer.
Wow.
So they found it, but I went to the hospital for something else. I was actually very lucky. It was during COVID. I was supposed to get some scans, but the imaging place, because I had a fever, said, look, can't come here, just in case it's COVID, go to the hospital.
Yeah.
And so when I got to the hospital, my fever was there, and I had pain in the stomach. And so they, obviously when you're in hospital, they test you for everything, just in case.
Yeah.
And that's how they found it. So had I have not gone to the hospital, because the tumor was so big that it actually broke through the colon wall, and then it spread all through my stomach and my peritoneal, and etc. So had I not ended up in hospital, I probably wouldn't be here.
Yeah. And if you hadn't had that misdiagnosis too, you probably actually could have caught it earlier.
I could have caught it, even before it was stage 1, maybe as a polyp, before it
when it was tiny.
Serious, yeah. But these things happen in life, and I believe everything happens for a reason.
Me too.
And that's why I think I wasn't put in this position to do nothing with it.
Yeah. Well, I'm really glad you're really spreading the word, and thank you for telling us all about your story today.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I truly believe you're going to be around for a long time. Come on, how could you not be with that energy and that passion for life? So
look, if I give up, my wife will kill me before cancer does anyway. Well, I can't give up. I don't have a choice.
That's really good. That lightened the mood up a little bit. And to lighten the mood up even more as well, I had some fun facts about you that I just wanted to, talk to you about. Apparently on the Latin Dance website, where, with the your biography there and everything, you said that you wanted to learn how to, play the bongos and the guitar and everything so you could be like a one-man bachata band. How are you going with that? Have you started learning any yet?
I started learning how to play bongo, and then I soon realized that I'm a better musician with my feet and hands with a dance partner than with an actual instrument.
Good. Maybe keep with what you're good at. And is it true that you have a love for movies? Was that something maybe you wanted to get into as another career, like be an actor or behind the scenes?
No, look. Movies for me is where I can sit down and not think about anything else except for the movie.
Yeah, that's something I love too.
I'm a massive Marvel fan.
Oh, me
Marvel
too.
And DC, so anything superhero and stuff like that, I can watch for hours.
I'm guessing you're seeing Doctor Strange this week then.
150. Tonight I'm watching the final episode of Moon Knight, which also from the Marvel world in Disney.
Yep.
And then on Friday I'm going to go see Doctor Strange because I can't tomorrow. But
I'm seeing it on Friday too. What a small world. Oh, I'm very excited for it as well.
Yeah.
Now, I know I've taken up a lot of your time already, Nestor, but would you like to play a game with me before we finish up today?
Go for it.
Yeah, we've got a legendary game here on Rave It Up. It's called the 2-minute hot seat. And what I do is I ask you various questions and you just have to pick your preference. So it's like dogs or cats or singing or dancing. And you have to answer as many questions in 2 minutes as possible.
All right.
And when we finish, we have a leaderboard and I'll see where you sit on the leaderboard up against everyone else that's played the game on the show.
Cool.
Now, since you're obviously in the industry, I gotta find her, but you know, Ataka and Alamana,
yes.
Famous bachata dancers. We've had Alamana on the show. I just gotta find her. She's played it. I'm pretty sure she did. Where is she?
We're actually trying to bring them for the festival next year.
Oh, really? Well, I've got a contact for them if you need them. That's good because we're only just her and I were talking about, when you come to Australia again, let us know.
Cool.
So there you go. Might be with you. So top of the Zoom leaderboard is 57 questions.
Cool.
And top of the actual whole leaderboard is 101, but over Zoom, wow. I don't expect you to be that fast. I would be very, very impressed. Yeah, okay, never mind. She didn't play it, but she did come on the show. Or I didn't write her name down on the leaderboard. Either one. Anyway, lesson learnt. All right, let me get my stopwatch out. And I'll change the view so I can see us both. Okay, here we go. Are you ready, Nestor?
Yep.
Intense. Okay. 3, 2, 1. Facebook or Instagram?
Facebook.
iPhone or Samsung?
Samsung.
Apple or Android?
Android.
Rap or rock music?
Rap.
Rock or pop?
Pop.
Bachata or salsa music?
Bachata.
Beach or pool?
Pool.
Skiing or snowboarding?
Skiing.
Comedy or action?
Comedy.
Blondes or brunettes?
Brunettes.
Sweet or salty?
Salty.
Sunglasses or hat?
Sunglasses.
Mac or PC?
PC.
SUV or convertible?
SUV.
PlayStation or Wii?
PlayStation.
Singing or dancing?
Sing.
Dogs or cats?
Dogs.
Italian or Chinese food?
Italian.
Summer or winter?
Winter.
Kim Kardashian or Scarlett Johansson?
Scarlett Johansson.
Johnny
Avenger.
Depp or Will Smith?
Johnny Depp.
Mall or online shopping?
Online.
Cinema or home movie?
Cinema.
Ice cream or gelato?
Ice cream.
Cake or cookies?
Cake.
Cookies or cookie dough?
Cookies.
Family or friends?
Friends.
Football or soccer?
Soccer.
Christmas or your birthday?
My birthday.
Night or day?
Day.
Bus or train?
Bus.
Straight or curly hair?
Straight.
Eye color, blue or brown?
Brown.
Vampire or werewolf?
Vampire.
Texting or calling?
Text.
Sydney or Melbourne?
Sydney.
Friday or Saturday?
Saturday.
TV or movies?
Movies.
Starbucks or Gloria Jeans?
Starbucks.
Snow or surf?
Surf.
Harry Potter or Twilight?
Harry Potter.
Family Guy or The Simpsons?
Family Guy.
McDonald's or Hungry Jack's?
Macca's.
Red Rooster or KFC?
KFC.
French fries or chips?
Fries.
Burger or hot dog?
Burger.
Pies or sausage rolls?
Pie.
Tomato sauce or barbecue sauce?
Tomato.
Guitar or drums?
Guitar.
Sneakers or thongs?
Sneakers.
Bike or scooter?
Bike.
Leather or denim?
Leather.
City or country?
City.
And we're out of time. Wow. You guys are starting to get really quick there at the end. I was like, oh my goodness, I can't keep up. How many questions do you think you answered in that time, Nestor?
Oh, look, if 100 is the highest, I say maybe 70, 60.
70. And what did I say? At top of the Zoom leaderboard was 57 questions. Do you think you beat that?
I think I beat it.
You've answered 54 questions. So a little bit lower. You're at number 3 on the Zoom leaderboard. So
Number 3, cool. That's good
really
enough.
good, really good effort, especially over Zoom. Well, when we eventually meet in person, we'll play it in person, all right? And you can get me to the top of the leaderboard.
Sounds good.
I look forward to it. After this interview, I checked again, and La Alemana, real name Tanya Kensinger, answered 46 questions for this game and is sitting number 9 on the Zoom Rave It Up leaderboard. So, Nestor beat her. Now, even though you've already achieved so much in your career, Nestor, please tell us, what can we expect from you in the future, or what can we expect from Latin Dance Australia in the future too?
Look, our plans are to continue to keep people dancing, and we would love to make all of Australia, if not all of Sydney dance, as much as possible. Especially with everything that we're going through, we think dance can make people happy. Yeah. So, and also bring people back together after so much time of isolation.
Yes.
So that's our main goal is continue with that with LDA and making that as big as possible. Bachata Festival, obviously keep that going and continue to spread bachata, which I love so much. And I would like to eventually make bachata more mainstream than salsa.
Yes, me too.
General public, everybody knows salsa. Even if they don't dance it, they've heard of salsa. I want to get bachata to that level, especially in Australia.
It's a good goal to have.
Yeah.
In my opinion, it's a way better dance. Now, we are unfortunately getting to the end of the interview, Nestor. It's gone so quickly with you. I've had so much fun.
You likewise.
But as a closing statement, and was probably the most important question here on Rave It Up, knowing what you know now, what would you tell your 14-year-old self?
The same thing I actually messaged my staff this morning. It's a privilege to wake up in the morning and to know that we get a chance to do it all over again and do it better than yesterday.
Yeah.
Because everything I know now, if I knew then, who knows what life would be, but I'd be able to look back and even though I look back and have no regrets and I appreciate everything, I think I could have done a lot more, and seen life in a very different light.
Absolutely. That's really good advice for everybody. I love that. It is a privilege to wake up in the morning. I always say that to myself. The first thing I say I'm grateful for is that I woke up this morning. So Thank you for another person saying it. Before we go, if our audience want to contact you or find out what you're up to in the future, where should they go? Where should we go follow you?
Look, main thing is Facebook. If you don't get through on the friend request, just follow. You'll be able to see what I'm doing anyway. You can still message me. I'm mostly on Facebook. Also now more on Instagram, but you can message me on Instagram as well, Nestor Manuelian. Both are just my name, Nestor Manuelian, nothing else. Or you can contact me through my, company website or company page, Latin Dance Australia or Sydney Bachata Festival. But yeah, probably quickest way is Facebook.
Yeah, probably. That's what everybody's already on.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for coming on the show today, Nestor. I really appreciate your time.
No worries. Thank you for having me. And I look forward to seeing what all this looks like.
Yes. Well, you're welcome on the show anytime, all right? So in the future, I'd love to have you on again and we can chat about something else. I don't know what yet, but I know it'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah, look, life has many, many different corners and twists and turns, so I'm sure there's always something to talk about. We can talk about how I beat my illness next time.
Yes, I love that. Yes. When you're in remission, you come to me, all right?
Sounds good.
We'll do a little celebration party. We'll do that in person next time, all right? I'll bring you a cake or something.
Cake is good.
I feel like you need something bigger than a cake.
This is true.
I'm sure we will meet eventually in the future as well. We obviously both live in Sydney and hopefully we can dance together one day. Fingers crossed.
Sounds good. Yeah. Likewise.
But keep in contact and I'll chat to you in the future.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Nestor.
Bye.
Well, we hope you enjoyed today's interview. If you'd like to check out any of our other interviews, please visit our website, raveituptv.com. And while you're there, please check out our book, Knowing What I Know Now, as well as a mini ebook that I wrote last year called Staying Strong, Finding Inner Peace During Hard Times. And if you would like to further support Rave It Up, please also check out patreon.com/Rave It Up. You can pick a membership tier that works with you and your budget for as little as $4 a month. It's like a coffee, right, guys? And in return, you will get free stuff and bonus content of Rave It Up. And please share it with your friends as well. But for now, thank you for watching, and we will see you next time. Bye!